Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your man, Math Man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Alameda International High School. And this video, trying to find the measures of those indicated arcs or those angles. So make sure you're kind of seeing, again, either if it's an inscribed angle, if it's an arc, or if it's a central angle. So number one gives you a couple arc amounts, but it's asking for this angle right there. And so we know that this is going to be our central angle is equal to the arc that it is associated with. So we're saying from this point to this point is 120 degrees. That means that this arc is also, or excuse me, this central angle is going to be also 120 degrees. In number two, we're looking for the measure of EFC. So we're looking for that arc EFC. So the whole way around from those points. And so we're given a couple labels. So we're saying this angle, or this arc FB, this arc FB is 126. And so what we can do is this, we can say, all right, if we have from B to E is 180 degrees, we can take 180 minus 126. We can say, all right, 180 minus 126. And we're going to say that this angle amount EF is going to be 54 degrees. And that's helpful because then we can say, hey, we have vertical angles, angles across that make that X, so that we're going to say that this is going to be the same amount. So we have 54 again. So that means that from E, F, B, and C, including all those points, we can add them together. So we have 180, which is from E to B, plus that 54. So we have, and this using those central angles. We're gonna have 126 plus 54 plus 54 is gonna be 234 degrees, which is that measure of that arc EFC. So again, make sure you're noticing how we're still using degrees, even though we're talking about arcs and angles at the same time. So now on number three, we're saying we're looking for that angle amount of SPQ. So we have SPQ. We're saying, okay, we have to go from S, P, and Q. So we're talking about this angle right here. And so what can we have? Well, it has this arc QR is 154. This arc RS is 60, and we have QU is 86. And so what I can do is I can find this remaining amount from SU by doing, we can do, so we're gonna say, all right, this arc SU is gonna be 360 minus, so we have 360 minus 154 minus 86 and minus 60 to get that arc amount. So 154, 86, and 60. So that means this arc is going to be 60 degrees. So we have that this amount is going to be 60 degrees. And that's helpful because now we can have those two angles add together would give us the angle SPQ. So we have the measure of angle S, let's do SPQ. SPQ is going to be 86 plus 60, since we can use those arc lengths because these are central angles. So again, arc length is equal to that central angle. So I add those two together, and I'm going to say that's going to be 146 degrees. So that angle SPQ is 146 degrees. In number four, now working with some inscribed angles and still working with those arcs, so I can say the inscribed angle is going to equal half of the arc. So make sure that you're noticing those differences and similarities. So I can say, hey, since it gives me this inscribed angle of 42 degrees, I know that this arc length of WV is going to be 2 times that amount. So I can say, let's have the measure of angle, let's say WXV is 42 degrees, and then we can say the measure of the arc WV is going to be 2 times that amount. So I can say 2 times 42, which is going to equal 84 degrees. So I'd say this arc length of WV is going to be 84 degrees. On the back, for number 5, still working with some inscribed angles, we're saying that it gives us this arc, or this angle, QSR, and then we know that, hey, this amount, so I can say that we're looking for SQ, the arc SQ, but I know that this remaining amount that's unmarked right here, so I can say the arc QR is going to be 2 times this angle amount, so I can say 2 times 95. Again, make sure you're always, using those reference angles to kind of make sure you're thinking, okay, I know that this angle is 95, so I have to say that most of that circle is kind of covered, so that just means it's going to be more than 180. So I do 95 times 2. I'm going to say that curved amount QR is going to be 190 degrees. That's helpful because now I can use that to find our arc of SQ, because I know that the full circle, again, full circle is 360 degrees. So I can say, all right, let's do 360 minus 190 minus 75 to get our arc of SQ. So let's do 360 minus 190 minus 75. And I'm going to say that that angle amount, or that arc length, is going to be 95 degrees. And number 6, got a couple of things going on here. Make sure you're looking for that amount. So we're looking for the arc of PD. So again, make sure you can, color it in, highlight it, make sure you're saying, okay, I'm looking for this amount X. So, okay, what do I have? Well, I have that this inscribed angle FEP is 35 degrees. That means that this arc of FP is going to be twice that amount. So I can say the arc FP is 2 times 35 degrees. So I have this is 70 degrees. All right. And that's helpful because if you notice, the segment FD is going to be that diameter. So that means that this entire amount is that semicircle. And so these 2 arcs added together would be 180 degrees. So now I can say, if I'm looking for that highlighted part if I'm looking for the highlighted part PD, that means that I'm going to take 180 minus 70 to get my arc PD of 110 degrees. So again, make sure you can use those labels and those. So this would be using that inscribed angle is 1/2 of the arc. So notice how I used that. I said the inscribed angle is half of this arc, which is 70. And so I said this is 35, which we used it to find our semicircle of 180. So we did 180 minus 70 to get that highlighted amount of PD, which is 110 degrees. And then in number 7, we're looking for 2 angles, A and B. And so what do I have? Well, I have an inscribed angle right here. So I can say, all right, I have inscribed angle is half of that arc. And so I'm going to say that this arc from, let's label it, let's label B D from B to D right here is going to be twice of that amount. So I can say this is going to be 82 degrees. Since this is that inscribed angle, that means that this arc is going to be 82 degrees. Then we can say that we have this. If we look and notice, that means that this inscribed angle A is going to be half that amount. So half that amount, that's actually going to be also 41 degrees, since it is inscribed there. So I can say this is, so I can say angle, let's say angle A is going to be 41 degrees. What else do we need? Well, we have that this outside amount, that's going to be 180. So we can say this, let's see. We can take this amount and we can say, all right, if this is that point A, from A to D is going to be 180. Let's do 180 minus 82. So that means that that's 98. So this is going to be 98. And so that means that this inscribed angle B is going to be half of that. So I can take, let's say the measure of angle B is going to be half of 98. So we're going to say divided by 2. We're going to say that's going to be 49 degrees. So I have angle B is 49, angle A is 41 degrees. So now we can say for number 8, the last one, looking for angle C and angle D. And so what can we use from that? Well, we have this inscribed angle again. So we're going to say if we have this point and this point, we can say that this arc right here is going to be twice that inscribed angle. So this is going to be 54 degrees. Then we can say, hey, we know that the central angle, so we're going to say that angle C is central angle. So that means that angle C is equal to 54 degrees, since we know it's equal to the arc. And so this is 54 degrees. And then we can say that if we have from, let's say this point D, and let's call this point A, if we have from point D to A is 180 degrees, we can take 180, let's do 180, so let's say 180 minus 54. So 180 minus 54, and that will give us the arc right here. So this is 126. That means that I can use that for my inscribed angle. So angle, let's say angle D is inscribed. That means it's half of that arc, which is 126. So I take angle D is equal to half of 126. So divided by 2, and we'll say that that angle D is 63 degrees. So angle C, 54 degrees, angle D, 63 degrees. So make sure you're switching back and forth between those central angles and the inscribed angles to be able to put together your arcs, which make that full circle. Okay, make sure you can ask questions, make sure your name's on it, and as always, super slam that subscribe button.